All right, so I used to be stationed in Italy, and I had an Italian girlfriend, and she taught me how to make spaghetti the Italian way. So I'm going to be showing you guys today. You may not know. It's actually a very simple recipe. It's very easy to make. First thing you need is carrots, celery, onion. The Italians call this sofrito, or however you pronounce it. So my mom told me there's no way I could be making all this spaghetti and stuff on Christmas Eve without the proper attire. So, anyways, back at it. All right, so carrot, celery, onion, or carrot, celery, onion. Got half an onion, some carrot, some celery. This is like the foundation of the recipe here, okay? We're gonna mince all this up. This is kind of a little too much onion, probably. I mean, you learn the more you make it, like, do I like a little bit more carrot flavor inside of my spaghetti? Do I like a little bit more celery or onion? You know, you kind of figure out what you like. I'm probably going to take some of this onion off because I'm not a big onion guy, but I do like some onion flavoring in there. And there we go. Onion piece removed. So I'm going to go ahead and mince this. I don't have a third party to record me mincing it, but it's pretty simple. Easiest way is to just kind of like cut down the length of it as many times as you can, and then flip it and start cutting that away, you know. Same thing with the onion. I'm really bad at mincing. You know, if you're like a stay-at-home mom or whatever, you're probably way better at this than me. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mince it. Okay, so that's it all minced up. Still a little chunky. You probably could cut it down a little bit more. But this is gonna be a long cooker, like 3-4 hours. So, you know, it's not gonna be crunchy, you know what I mean? But we're gonna go ahead and put it in the pan. I'll show you what we're gonna do in the pan first. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's a lot of olive oil. We recording? Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and push this in. And then we're just gonna stir it around with a spatula or something until all the onions get see-through. Now let's talk a little bit about tomato sauce. So don't get any tomato sauce that's like flavored and nothing. Just plain old tomato sauce. In Italy, they usually sell it in jars. I didn't see no jars at Walmart, just cans. So that's what we're going with. Ooh la la. The vegetables are simmering. And you'll notice it starts to smell in here in a good way. It'll make you hungry. So we just keep pushing it around, right? My mom was just yelling, now she's embarrassed. All right. And you don't want to burn them, but you want them to get all nice and cooked. Probably going to bump the heat down a little bit because they're cooking pretty good. So key thing here is just keep them moving, you know, because you don't want them to burn, but you want them to feel the burn, right? So just like when you're running, you want to feel the burn. Same thing here. These guys need to feel the burn. You got to keep them running. I was actually talking to the carrots before I threw them in here, and they were saying like, yo, dude, you know, like, thing that really annoys us about humans is they just like to, they're lazy, so they just put us in here and, you know, just leave us alone. Well, that's not me. Like, I take care of my vegetables, you know what I mean? Like, so I keep them nice and soft and chewy and stuff. Like, they're, you know, they're happy with me. They love me, you know. Okay, so a little tip. We'll get into it later, but just like the lid, if you're not familiar, the lid is like what creates humidity inside because all the steam's coming up and it's staying in. And you remove it, all the humidity leaves because all the steam's going out. So it's important to know because when we're making like our meat sauce later, if you notice that the meat sauce is like too wet, it looks like watery on top, well, just take the lid off and let it evaporate some. And then if you notice it's starting to look a little too dry, put the lid on, right? If you're wondering what these are the vitamins I can't seem to convince my mom to take. All right, so pretty much sauteed right here. You know, you can kind of test it. What I would do a couple of times is like scoot a little carrot to the side and then just try to like, you know, like break it or something and then see how, you know, was it crunchy? Was it soft? You want it to be soft, right? So anyways, we're going to go ahead and put the meat in here. And the way it's going to work is the olive oil is flavoring the vegetables, right? And then the vegetables are flavoring the olive oil as well, of course. And then once we put the meat in here, it like forms that perfect trio, right? Like you got the meat flavoring the veggies that are flavoring the olive oil, that are flavoring the meat, and you know, it's just like that. Then we're gonna put it into this pot, and after the meat's all cooked up and it's all brown and everything, we'll put it in the pot. We'll put the sauce in there, and then all this concoction of meat and sofrito that we created is going to flavor the sauce, right? And the sauce is going to flavor the meat. And the longer you let it simmer, the more the two different items merge into one. So that's the current plan and explanation. Okay, so I kind of have like a huge amount of beef here. I don't recommend doing this much with that amount of sofrito, but I think it's going to work. But just keep in mind, we're just cooking all of it because like this is what we got. And we're just going to make a ton of spaghetti basically. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, this is a pretty obnoxious amount of meat. But again, I think it's going to work. Probably would be better with more sofrito. Keep that in mind, you know, when you're cooking your food, you want the meat to be proportionate to the sofrito. Just understand this is kind of a bad example. Don't like follow this, all right? But probably gonna bump the heat up a little bit because it's on low, and we want to start cooking the meat, right? So I'll just keep mashing it up with the spatula. If you don't know how to cook up ground beef, there's like a kabillion videos on it. It's like really simple. You just keep it, same concept as the veggies, right? You don't want it to burn, you want it to cook, so just keep it moving. Okay, so yeah, I had to remove some of the meat because this was just way too much. I'm just gonna cook this up, put it in the pot, get the rest of it, put it in the pot. Okay, so scratch what I said. We're not going to use this for the spaghetti. That'll be used for like taco night or whatever. This is what we're gonna use, and it doesn't have to be completely brown because it's going to cook inside that pot for like hours, right? So that's the plan here. Another thing, do not strain the grease. Do not strain the grease, do not strain the grease. This isn't a healthy dish. It's an Italian dish, and it's good. Don't strain the grease. It'll mess up the flavor. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put this in the pot. All right. It's not completely cooked, as you can see. Still some pink in there, but like I said, it's gonna be in there for hours, right? So any pinkness is gonna get cooked out. Don't strain the grease. It's not a healthy dish. It's an Italian delicious dish.
Okay.
All right. Pouring it in. Okay. All right, now we need to grab our tomato sauce. When you start, here we go. Turn it off.
Look at that. Ooh. All that tomato sauce.
Okay, now don't do what I just did. That was a really bad idea. Definitely like pour a little bit and then mix it up some. Because you don't want to have too much sauce. And if you actually look up some recipes, they'll give you like specific amounts. Like use 1 cup of this or, 100 milliliters of that. I just prefer not to go through all that and just kind of eyeball it. And spaghetti is one of those dishes that's simple enough to where you can kind of get away with doing that. Definitely if you're doing some of the more complex ones like lasagna, I have made lasagna without that before, like without, measuring everything, but not very, it wasn't the best. So, yeah. But anyways, I think that's probably a sufficient amount. I might add a little bit more, but I kind of don't want to break open that second can if I don't have to. So, anyways, feel free to add a little bit of salt. That's what I'm going to do at this point. Not a lot, but definitely just a little bit. So, and when I say not a lot, like I'm still putting a good amount there, right? But that's going to be enough for like the whole entire pot. So, yeah, so I said not a lot, but that's not a lot if you think about it, because it's like the whole pot. And at this point, this is where you kind of just sit there and you keep, basically every 15 minutes, you want this at a very low heat. So I'm going to put it on, let's see, is this the right one? I'll put it on like maybe a little bit over, I'll just put it on 2. And then if I feel like it's not cooking enough, I'll bump it up. But yeah, just every 15 minutes, come back and stir it, because believe it or not, you can burn this and you don't want to. So this extra meat I'm cooking, I guess this is going to be sofrito flavored beef tacos. And again, if it looks a little too wet, that's probably just right. but you know, you can put the lid on. That's kind of better for cooking anyways. It'll also make it more wet. But, you know, taking this off will release the humidity and allow the wetness to evaporate. And I am probably going to go ahead and bump this up just to 3. If it looks like it's bubbling too much, I'll bump it down. Alright, so, I mean, yeah, these factory presets are supposed to get it to a certain temperature, but every stove is different. So for me, 3 would work on certain stoves, but here, probably going to bump it up to medium, because I've got nothing in there, like no bubbling or anything. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that you necessarily want to boil, but maybe just a slow occasional bubble that you're stirring every 15 minutes would be ideal. So as you can see, we have a bit of a situation here. It's a little too hot, so I'm probably going to bump it down to 4. And it's very, very wet, so I'm going to leave the lid off for a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up to prevent the meat sauce here from burning. Scrape off. Oh, that's metal, not carrots. Oops. So yeah, we're just going to keep moving this stuff around, try to get the bottom stuff up top. All the Italians are laughing at me right now. I'm even going to bump it down 1 more to like 2.5. Because now that it's super hot, it's kind of got the momentum of that heat, if that makes sense. Okay, so fast forward 4 hours. We didn't actually wait 4 hours. We went out to go see lights, and I had to turn the burner off for like 20 minutes. And now we're really hungry, so we're just not doing it that way. Okay? Anyways, so I got my pot of water. Just going to put some of this salt in there. Not too much. You don't want your noodles to be too salty. But this does 2 things. It adds a little salt flavor to the water. And then also it helps it burn a little bit. Or it helps it boil a little bit faster. You know? And then it's always better to go with a little less salt. And then just add it at the end. Oh, and also the Italian people will murder my face if I fail to mention this after being in their country for a few years. Do not break the noodles. Do not break the noodles. Do not break the noodles. Okay, there. Italian people, if you didn't like the whole video, at least appreciate that. Okay. So, how do we not break the noodles, right? You're like, well, my pot is only this big. How do we not break the noodles? I don't understand how this works. Well, okay, calm down. Calm down. I got you, all right? Jeremiah Kidwell's got you, all right? Just chill out, bro. Look, so, you got your noodles right here. As it begins to soften in the pot, we'll start to push the noodles in, okay? So, pretty simple. Just get yourself a little fork, jab it in there, kind of twist them around, and slowly work in the harder part of the noodles. Now, as for how much noodles, that's kind of on you and how many people you're feeding and all that stuff. But you can find recipes that'll tell you, like, yeah, use 100 grams of noodles or, you know, whatever measurement you use. And yeah, all right, cool. I'll show y'all once it's, or I'll do like a little editing thing and just, yeah, whatever. Okay. So we're going to start pushing these in a little bit. Okay, so we're basically done. All right, but there's one last important thing that the Italian people will also murder me for. Murder this face for. If I do not mention. Do not mix the meat in the noodles. Like, don't mix the meat sauce in the noodles. They get served separate. You put your noodles on your plate, then you put your meat sauce on the plate. Okay, my pot's going crazy. So I need to go fix that. Okay, well, they'll be done very shortly. I had to turn the heat down a little bit. It's too hot. And I will show you a plate of the food that I have just made. So I'm about to show you my video. Italian people, I'm sorry, but I will be eating garlic bread and salad with it. But American people understand that, I mean, I don't know about the salad, but the whole garlic toast thing, it's not actually Italian. But anyways, I'll end this video with a picture of it. Have a Merry Christmas.